Where do you see the trend going with employers and, what they're trying to do to get the best return on their investment with their talent?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we first really have to contextualize why we're even at the moment where we are when it comes to organizations trying to optimize the return on their talent investment. For the vast majority of organizations throughout history, they got very good at optimizing everything except their largest investment, their people. And for a long time, they were able to get away with that, especially over the past decade or so leading up to 2020, because we had a zero interest rate environment, capital was virtually free, and many organizations, they were really just able to throw money hand over fist, both at talent as well as other investments. And the reality is, the past few years, we've really been on an economic roller coaster. First, we had the pandemic in 2020. Then we had inflation. Then we had rising interest rates. Then we had geopolitical uncertainty and shifting trade policies and this thing called artificial intelligence that everybody's talking about as well. And as a result, a lot of boardrooms, they got spooked and they've been trying to figure out how to navigate this new climate of economic uncertainty. And usually what organizations do is they start tightening their belts. And that's certainly what we've started to see. Organizations are not investing as much as they were, both in talent as well as many other things. Much of the investment that is occurring is going towards AI or other digital transformation efforts. And as a result, organizations are starting to say, hey, we really need to get more thoughtful and strategic in how we're thinking about our biggest line item, which is our people. So, really, what we're starting to see in 2026 is that organizations, they are starting to take much more of a strategic view towards their workforce, and they're really thinking about it in terms of the bottom line impact that it's having on the business, not just in terms of dollars and cents, as in how much are we spending on our people, but what's the return on the investment that we're getting? How do we ensure that our people are as productive as possible, and how do we ensure that we're spending wisely on our people and investing in our people and making sure that they have the skills necessary to be as productive as possible, and that we're investing in the things that are really going to help drive the needle, not just in terms of productivity, but in terms of retention, in terms of reducing cost to hire, and all of the other metrics that historically might have been an afterthought for many organizations.
Are you seeing much money being put into the incumbent workforce? So taking the people already there and upskilling them to what they need?
Absolutely. In fact, I think that's one of the biggest shifts that we're starting to see. For a long time, when organizations were hiring more freely, they were just saying, yeah, we need this new capability and we're going to go out and hire for it. Or they might have said, well, if somebody leaves, we think we'll be able to find the money to backfill that position. But we're starting to see a shift now where we're in a relatively low hire and low fire environment. And what that means is that organizations, they're needing to retain the people that they have, but also it means that if their people are going to stay, they need to make sure that they're as productive as possible. And so they're starting to invest in skill development and retraining and reskilling, partially due to transformation from things like AI and other technologies, partially from other needs. And what this is, I think, a reflection of as well is that companies are starting to realize it's a lot cheaper to keep someone than to lose them and to have to backfill that position, especially if that new person is going to come in with high cost skills that are costly to find on the market. So, just to give you a data point behind this, we've seen in some of our research at FourOne Insights that just adding certain high demand skills to a job description when you're going out and recruiting for someone, such as AI or other emerging technologies, that can increase the average cost to fill that position by $30,000 or more. Well, guess what? It doesn't cost $30,000 to train someone up in one skill set. And so organizations are starting to realize that they can really maximize the ROI of the reskilling dollar by focusing on their incumbent workforce and training them in some of these high growth, high value skill sets that otherwise would be very costly to find in the market.
Is AI really playing a big role in what companies are doing now? Is it the most in demand skill?
So AI is definitely a rapidly growing skill, and it is growing faster than almost other any other skill we've seen in the past. But it's still a far cry to say it's the most in-demand skill. Overall, AI is showing up in somewhere between 1 to 6% of job postings, depending upon what type of role we're looking at. Unless, of course, we're talking about AI engineers, in which case it's virtually everybody. But the reality is, I think AI, it's been overhyped. It's been a little overblown in terms of how everybody's talking about it. Now, it is a technology worthy of hype, but somehow it has still been, I think, dramatically overhyped in terms of at least the impact it's already having on the workforce. Ask me again in 20 years, I might have a different answer for you. But right now, the reality is we're not seeing many organizations actually ripping and replacing workers with AI. But what we are seeing is that organizations are starting to redirect where they're investing their dollars away from other legacy technologies, or even in some cases away from new headcount, and instead investing in some new AI capabilities, or at the very least, they're pausing on hiring until they can determine whether the humans that they have, plus these new AI technologies, can perform the work that otherwise in the past would have gone to a new hire. And we're also seeing that in certain cases, organizations, they might be starting to augment certain tasks or automate certain tasks that are more repeatable and low complexity. But we're not seeing organizations completely ripping and replacing workers with this new technology just yet.